What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Lumen Project. I'm Chris Angel here with Jeff Bernheisel. What's
Hello.
up, Jeff? Yo. We were talking about releasing the ego before we hit record here, which this should be, we'll see where this goes today. This is pretty juicy, but maybe I can just say, like, I would set this up with, I think the world, period, and then let's talk about men in the world. But I think the world is so used to ego. Everybody's flexing, puffing, posturing to try to prove something and show that we're bigger than we are. And I'm sick of that. I just think it's gross. I can see it everywhere now. But I think you put that inside of the conversation of men, and I think men have even more pressure to flex and posture for being all that. Be the man. Be the man. Are you the man? so let's explore it, see where it goes, because I think there's a lot of people who are dealing with, ego.
Yeah. So what brought this topic up was I was just thinking about last week where I was tasked with doing some things that I had that mindset of like, oh, that's stuff that I used to do 10 plus years ago in my line of work, and that's kind of beneath me.
Mm.
And I had that attitude, which is kind of a shitty attitude to have. Depends. I mean, I guess if it's something, but what happened was I kind of got into this new thing that I was super excited about, and then it clicked with me. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, which is part of this, I just need to get over myself and don't have that attitude of like, oh, I did that so long ago, like that's beneath me, I don't need to do that anymore. I can do that shit with my hands tied behind my back, so why don't I just go do it all at once
Yeah.
and get over myself?
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That's
and,
good.
and then also, just in saying that, I was laughing because last night I was out playing pool with a friend, and pretty good at pool. And this is where I was just saying, like, I don't like to say, like, I grew up with a pool table and actually really fucking good. But we're out at this shitty dive bar, and they just finished their pool league. So everybody's there, after the fact with all their custom sticks, and they're hanging out and playing. And my buddy wants to play. And we're just kind of sitting at the table chilling, and I'm watching everybody and kind of scoping them out. And like, there's some really good people there.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but in the end, there was this like just super egotistical dude that just thought he was the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like he was beating everybody else. But I'm just sitting there with my legs are up on the table. I'm drinking my drink, and I'm pretty buzzed. And that's the best way to play pool, because there's that bell curve of like
It's the same in
get
golf, right?
buzzed and kind of ride that. Yeah, almost
Yeah.
any sport probably. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, it kind of got to the where I stood up and I was like, hey, can I get next? And it was kind of like, oh, you like,
Who are you? Yeah. Yeah.
who are you? You're not part of this league, and
Yeah.
are you any good? And
Yeah.
my response was, I'm like, yeah, I can probably hold my own. And I mean, we ended up playing like 4 or 5 games, and I think we actually it was like we were tied.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, I'm kind of bored with this shit. I want to go do something else now.
Yeah.
But his response to that, where I was like, yeah, I can probably hold my own, and he was like, you know,
Uh-huh.
well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna smoke you. And
Uh-huh.
and that was my thought, was like, bro, get over yourself.
Right.
Release that ego.
Yeah.
I have nothing to prove. I don't give a shit. I'm never gonna see this guy again, probably. I don't need to
Yeah.
get up there and flex and be like, I'm awesome. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just
I think that's interesting for if I think about who would be attracted to the Lumen Project and the kind of men that are on this path of expansion and consciousness and whatnot. I think for me, it sounds like for you, like that stuff just kind of repels me. I'm like, I'm not interested. But here's the challenge. I think we're in a society where people are looking at leaders. Who can I follow? Who should I follow? Are you a social media influencer? Do you have 1 million subscribers? Are you monetized on YouTube? Like, people are looking for all kinds of, they're looking for ego. And I wrestle with that in my own business and in vision, because I'm like, I'm not willing to flex so that you feel like I'm qualified. I don't need you to tell me I'm qualified. I know that I'm qualified, but that doesn't convince you.
right.
Do you know what I mean?
It's hard. Yeah. I have like a pretty good example of that, actually. And I don't know if I've ever told the story of my Angry Birds and how I got into SEO and all that stuff, but
No.
the gist of
Oh,
it,
you told me, but you haven't said it on the podcast.
yeah, so I built this Angry Birds website to test a bunch of SEO stuff out, and I ended up was getting like 1 million hits a month, and ended up selling it for a big chunk of money. But part of that was I built a Facebook group to go along with the brand.
Uh-huh.
And if you're selling a website, like you want to have like Instagram actually didn't exist at the time, but it was just a Facebook group that was part of the brand, and I would post the content in there, and when I sold it, it came with the website basically.
Hmm.
But that Facebook group had like 120,000 followers when I sold it.
Wow.
And then a little bit later on, I was speaking somewhere. I was at an event, and it was in the real estate space. And somebody basically called me out, and they said, we go to your brokerage, we go to, like, you don't have that many followers. You, like, kind of like, who are
Right.
you to tell us how to do this?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm just like, I don't feel that I need to go flex and show you.
Uh-huh.
And I did it with the Angry Birds, and then somebody said I got lucky, so I did it with Minecraft, and then somebody said I got lucky, and I did it with like four other games, and I built all of these big brands, and I sold them all for a big chunk of money.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, hey, I just don't feel the need that I have to show this to you, but if you're gonna call me out for it,
Right.
look what I've done. And everybody
Yeah.
was like, oh shit.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I was like, that feels dirty to me.
Right.
And
Right.
this is the stage we're in now, where
Yeah.
it's like that feels dirty to me, especially if you lead with that. Look at all the awesome shit that I've done in my life. This is why you should follow me. Like that, I'm sick of that crap.
Yeah.
But if somebody's going to call you out and wants that validation, then yeah, let me show you what I've done. And even if you haven't, like,
Yeah.
that's not that big of a deal. Going and growing a Facebook, like, people can pay to do that now. So
Yeah.
it's not, you pay to get followers on Instagram, you pay to get some influencer to
Right. Right. Yeah.
whatever.
I
It's like,
know.
it's
I
just,
I notice that sometimes. I go, how much did you pay for? I think to myself, did you pay for those subscribers? Did you? I remember doing back when I was into Facebook ads. Somebody was, and I didn't like this strategy because it felt inauthentic, but somebody was teaching how to run ads to other countries for pennies to get Facebook likes. So you could
yeah,
have thousands or hundreds of thousands of Facebook likes on your page. And I'm like, that's just a trick. That's not even influence. That's just me running ads to Namibia or fucking
yeah.
some
When I,
country.
when I was in the, when I was at the title company that I was at, we started, we built out this network of our websites for each state that we were in, and each state had its own Facebook page,
Yeah.
and it had the location pages underneath there. And for our main page of the whole company, I was working with our web developer, and I was like, hey, we need to build out these pages and this and this and this. And well, he just took it upon himself to, because he's like, this looks bad. We have a Facebook page that doesn't have, there's like 50 people following us, and we're a national company. And
Yeah.
I get his thought process. Like, hey, we're a 10-year-old national company, and we have 50 people following us on Facebook. Like, that kind of sucks. So he went out and paid a couple $100 to get 50,000 followers. And if you went and looked at any of the comments or any of the interactions or anything, it was all like all these other countries.
Uh-huh.
Which then I'm like, okay, but now, we get a realtor in Seattle or wherever that's like, oh, WFG national title. And they go look, and it's just all of this crap.
Uh-huh.
So I had him kill the pages and start over. And I was like, and don't do that ever again. Like,
Yeah.
I get your thought process, but like, we'll
Right.
build it naturally, and it'll take
Right.
off, and it'll.
Yes. Okay. So that's the thing, right? Is like I feel like guys like us, if we're not careful or we're not mindful about it, can get stuck playing a game we already know we don't want to play. We're like, I know, but I need to move the needle. Right. I'm like, I don't know how to move it. I'm not willing to move it the way other people move it because it feels dirty.
Yeah.
And I'm in this gap between there's a vision I have and I want to move the needle towards that vision, and I don't know how to do it in a way that, because everybody else that's funnel hacking everybody else is doing it in ways I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's so maybe I would say this about that. I think if you're a man who has done a lot of work to release ego and you're in business for yourself. So now you're like, and how else will I do this? I do think that there's some pioneering that we all get to do. There's some what's next that we get to kind of explore before the rest of the world catches up to that. And how do we do business in a way that is without the ego and is totally from a place of love and light? How do we bring light to the world through our business?
Well, and
I
it's the
don't know what your
same
thoughts are. Yeah.
in marketing and business, where there's actually a book, I think it's called 1,000 true fans or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Kevin Kelly's article. There's an article
Maybe.
Kevin Kelly wrote called 1,000 True Fans.
So I mean, that's kind of what I tell people these days, where I'm like, you don't need 50,000
Yeah.
followers or 500,000 followers or whatever. You just need your 1,000 true fans that are cheerleaders and the
Yeah.
people that know you, love you, trust you, buy from you, and all that crap. Like that's what you build upon. Oh, sorry, bud. I kicked my dog.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and that's what I mean. That's the advice that I give people, especially in the real estate world, where I'm like, you know, what realtor outside of, I can't even think of the dude's name, but there's a like Josh, you know, those famous realtors that are on these stupid TV shows that I don't watch
Yeah.
any of them, but they have hundreds of thousands of followers or millions of followers because they're on a national TV show.
Yeah.
Does that get them more business than me in my little local market here of Portland
Yeah.
with 1,000, you know, if I had 1,000 past clients that were like super good friends, I'd be doing,
Yep.
I'll say, just as much business. Like dollar volume obviously wouldn't be the case, but like it would be a very, very, very comfortable career.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and that kind of goes for any business, whether you're a plumber or an electrician or a realtor or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and maybe to tie this to last week's episode too, there's something about, for me, in the space of surrender, um, I've had to release my ego. Like the whole process of surrender is a continual releasing of my ego, because I keep feeling like I should be the one that's making things happen. Like the whole thing of surrender is taking your hands off it and finding flow with life in the universe. That there are energies bigger than you at play, and to have the arrogance to think that you could, and that you have caused everything in your life to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like that the idea that they're just bigger forces at work here
yeah,
than you doing whatever you're doing on your to-do list today. And the process of surrender for me has been a letting the ego go over and over and over again, and realizing like I'm in the flow of life. And I think that's challenging, because our culture worships productivity. It worships, you know, forcing things through, and
yeah,
especially if you're a man.
and it's gonna, I'll say this will completely contradict what I do for a living, but the fact of saying like I'm going to create a strategy and then I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
implement it and execute on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're trained to do in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in life and in work and everything else.
Yeah.
And this last week, and I mean everything I've gone through in the last few months and going into this week, I'm on vacation this week, so it's a nice mental checkout.
Yeah.
But I am in that mindset now where I'm like, just let go of that. Like I'm still going to do that. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
But I think I can do it a little bit different if I release the ego,
Mm-hmm.
don't have that attitude of like, oh, I'm too good for that,
Hmm.
and just kind of see what happens.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I bet you things will start clicking probably a lot faster than if I'm trying to force it to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the damn the video that you sent me the other day. It was basically like,
Hmm.
quit trying so hard.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it comes down to. Quit trying so hard.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, you try hard, stuff generally is going to work out
Mm.
and it's going to happen. But if you don't try so hard, it's still probably going to happen. And then you didn't try or didn't try
Yeah.
as hard. Like you could go do other things that mean more to you or have more family time or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of it, especially in today's world, in the corporate world, especially,
Mm.
we're driven, you know,
Mm. Yep.
drive, revenue, revenue, revenue.
Yep. Yeah.
I wish I could get over that and
Yeah.
not to be like,
Yeah.
let's all sit around and smoke weed and just see what happens.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right. Right.
but it could work. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. I might put you in flow. I mean, the thing about um so much about our, at least in a Western culture and in our capitalistic, competitive business environment, is hours and effort equal value. Like I'm gonna work harder than you, first at the office, last to leave. I'm gonna generate, there's so much emphasis put on you're worth more if you work harder. That
Mhm.
was that was one of our first episodes, right? Where you were talking about the poster or the meme that was like, Nobody gives a shit. Just work harder. What was the
Right.
thing? Is that what it
Something like
said?
that. Nobody cares, work harder,
Yeah, right.
basically.
That's it. To me, that's an ego thing. Like I, I think that there's another way to do that. But that just points to how much we value in this culture. Oh, work hard, work hard, work hard. And so your ego gets wrapped up in work ethic. Oh, I
Right.
work hard. And so that means that I'm better than you. When in fact, there's a whole lot of history around being able to be in flow with life.
I was talking to my mom when she's visiting for the holidays, and I said, if I'm an employee and I'm tasked with a job,
Yep.
I'm efficient enough to get that job, say it's supposed to take an hour, and I'm
Hmm.
efficient enough to get it done in 10 minutes.
Yep. This is good. Yeah.
I feel that that other 50 minutes is still my time and I can go do whatever I want with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the alternative to that is me recognizing it, having my employer say, no, you're still on the clock. This is our time. And then I'm just going to be like, cool, well, I'll just make it take an hour then.
Right. Right. This is so dumb. Yeah.
And so I get, I want to say I get a little bit of flack over the years. I've gotten a little bit of flack from my employers because of that. Like, that I'm super efficient and I have a skill set that I can do things faster than a lot of people when it comes to a lot of things. And so in my mind, it's like, all right, well, that job's done. And not to say I'm going to go just totally screw around and do something else now, but I can go do other things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if I complete all my daily tasks in half a day,
Mm.
it's kind of like, okay, well, I've earned it.
Yeah.
I got all the tasks done. And as long as that was the end goal, who cares how long it took me? Got
Right.
it done.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get that like that's a weird mindset, and try explaining that to your boss. Like they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think this release the ego thing is interesting because I think if I thought about marriages, parenting, government, governing,
Mhm.
and I thought about how much does ego show up in those things. I mean, quite a bit. I think, it's always that
Relationship-
conversation of ego is always in the background, interacting with the things we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't. Well, I would say I can't speak for the marriage thing. Like, I think when I was married, I was young and dumb, and I didn't, this like none of the conversation we're having right now would never have happened when I was married because it was 10 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Yep.
Um, but I think in relationships and dating, and I don't think I know that
Mm.
ego comes into play because you're having to impress people, right? Like
Sure.
that's
Sure.
that's what we're taught we have to do. It's like we're peacocking. I call it peacocking. So
Peacocking.
if
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm trying to get a mate,
Yeah.
I have to put my feathers up and do the dance and do all that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I am so over that crap. And
Yeah.
so I meet somebody cool, or if I meet anybody, and I'm just it's like I was last night at that bar. I'm sitting there at the table, my feet are up on it. I just don't care what people think about me.
Yeah.
And not in the sense of I just totally don't care, but I'm not trying to impress them. I'm not trying to impress anybody. If anybody comes and talks to me and
Yep.
wants to get to know me, they will most likely be like, oh, this guy's super cool, or
Hmm.
he knows what he's talking about, or he's smart, or whatever.
Yep.
But I don't have to go like flexing and peacock to do that. And I see that happening still a lot. And it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where I'm like, look at look at these idiots at the bar. Like they're
Yep.
peacocking or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm just kind of over that. And
Yeah.
and
Me
that
too.
then filters into my business and in my professional environments as well, because
Yeah.
I don't need to go do
Yeah.
these crazy things to impress people.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect place to invite people to the Lumen Project. I mean, if you're a guy listening to this and you're like, you know what, I'm still there too. I'm done peacocking and I don't need to impress anybody. And I'm over, trying to have a pissing contest with other guys about who can play pool better, who's got more income or better. I'm so over that. I just want to have genuine relationships that are headed in a direction that feels purposeful, to make the world a better place. I mean, that's what we're doing in the Lumen Project. So
Yep.
yeah.
Great segment.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you guys can go to thelumenproject.com and click the appropriate links. Our community is application based. Not just because you can pay the money doesn't mean you get in. That helps us curate a better experience. So go to the lumenproject.com and click the appropriate links.
Yep. Find us on Facebook. The,
Yeah.
the group on Facebook is called Purpose Driven Men.
Yep.
If you go to the Lumen Project on Facebook, it'll lead you there as well. So we've kind of got them all intertwined and building a little web of spider web, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. 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 It's perfect. Good stuff. Well, I mean, I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. Good
As
stuff today,
always,
though.
it was a pleasure.
Finding our stride. Awesome, Jeff.
Yep.
Thanks for this one. We'll see you in the next one.
Yep. You too.